Hi everyone! Today I am going to be doing a non-spoiler review for Reflection by Elizabeth Lim. Reflection is the fourth book in the Twisted Tales companion series. If you don't know what Twisted Tales is, it's basically a series of books. You don't have to read them in order because, as I said, they are companion novels, but each one takes a different Disney movie and it puts some kind of twist on the story. This is the fourth book in the series. I've read books 1 through 3 and the fifth one just came out, which I haven't got around to reading yet, but I really hope to get to it soon. I did do a full review for the third book in the series, which was As Old as Time, which retold Beauty and the Beast. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that book, I will leave a link to it up in the card in the corner. That book was really good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So if you want to hear a positive review for a Twisted Tales book, you should go watch that video. This video is not going to be as positive in my thoughts. I should also mention that the first 3 books and also the 5th book were all written by the same author, Liz Braswell. This book was written by a different author, and so I was a little bit nervous going into it whether I was going to like her writing or how she was going to portray the characters. And I do think that that is where the story really went wrong, but let me not get ahead of myself. I should probably tell you the plot of this one first. As you can tell, it follows Mulan, but in this book we open when they're on the mountain and she shoots the cannon into the mountain and causes an avalanche. Before that happens, Shang gets this fatal wound and he goes to the underworld, and so Mulan has to go there to try and get him back. So when it comes to any of these Twisted Tales books, I think it always comes down to one thing, and that is how the characters are portrayed, because these are not retellings of the movies, these are not loosely based on the movies, these are supposed to be the films, but the story goes in a different direction, but we are following the same characters from the films. Like in the first book in this series, which is Aladdin, we basically, for the first like 2 chapters, I would say it's almost word for word for the film. So that's what I mean when I say that these are supposed to be the films and the exact same characters from them. And so when they write these books, they have to be the same characters that you see in the films. And I didn't find that with this book. I don't think the author really captured the essence of these characters, and especially with these kinds of Disney films, like these are characters that the readers have grown up with, and I would never write these kinds of stories because I feel like that's a very big responsibility to try and get it right, because I do think you do have to get it right in order for these to be good, because I'm going into this expecting to see those same characters but going on a different adventure. So my main problem with this book overall was the characters, and another thing was I don't think she used these characters to her advantage. One of my favorite characters from the film is Mushu. Like, he is my favorite character in the film, and he was barely in this book at all. I'm pretty sure he was just in the beginning, like 2 chapters, and that was pretty much it. And I feel like I'm really bashing the author, and I'm really trying not to, and I don't mean to be super like the Simon Cowell of BookTube, but I don't know why she didn't make Mushu and Cricket more prominent characters in this story, because they are such iconic characters from this franchise. So now you know what I thought as far as the characters in this book. That was like my main point for not enjoying this book. Moving on to the plot, I actually really enjoyed the plot and the setting of this. So in this book they go to the underworld, which in Chinese mythology it's called Daiyu, I think is how you pronounce it, and they meet these different characters in this world and they go to different places. And while I was reading it, I was like, I wonder if this is like actually from Chinese mythology, like the people and the places that they're meeting and going to. So I ended up googling it and I read a couple of Wikipedia pages articles on it, and from what I could tell, a lot of the characters and the places are from real Chinese mythology, which I thought was really cool, and I like that it kind of inspired me to look it up and read into it a little bit more. So as far as the setting and the world building kind of goes, I really enjoyed that, but the plot, or the pacing rather, I think was a little bit off. This book kind of reminded me of like a video game type of plot, where it's like they would progress a little bit and then they would face some kind of boss and they would defeat it, and then they would progress a little bit and then they would face some kind of boss and then they'd defeat it and then they'd progress a little bit. And I like that pacing in video games, where you progress to the next level and you defeat that that monster. But in books, I don't really like that kind of pacing. Kind of just feels like I'm reading the same thing over and over and over again. But to kind of end this video on a higher note, one of the other things that I did like in this book was the use of certain lines from the film in this story. Obviously, as I said, like the first chapter is pretty word for word to the film, but then obviously they go on a different adventure, so they have different dialogue, but there were certain lines in the film that she did incorporate into this, which I did really like that. Overall, I ended up giving this 2 stars. I wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but I was definitely very disappointed in this because I do love this series. You guys know I love Disney, and so I do kind of hold these books up to a very high standard, which maybe I shouldn't. But as I said, these are characters that I have grown up with since I was a kid, so I want them to be portrayed in the way that I've always known them, which obviously may not be the same in everybody's eyes, but for me this wasn't it. So please leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've read this book and what you thought of it, or if you're interested in reading it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!